Sometimes you just have the privilege of interviewing a friend who you love to talk to, and it's a very casual but meaningful conversation about things that people need to hear. And today is one of those days. And I am so delighted to have Trina Felber here with me. Trina has been on a clean product journey for many, many years. She has a very moving and emotional story as to why she got on this journey. And her life has taken a shift in the last couple of years, but she's here to talk to us about all the great things that have come out of these challenges in her life. And she's here to talk to us today about something that we all need to hear, because the amount of chemicals that we are exposed to on a daily basis is monumental. And we are not living on our grandmother's earth. We are not even living on our mother's earth. And the earth that we're living on today is exponentially more toxic than we have ever seen before. And we have the disease to show it. So this is not urban legend. This is not nonsense. This is not people trying to make a living out of scaring people. This is very real. This is information that you need. So I hope you stick around and join us for the next however many minutes we get to talk to Trina Felber. So Trina, welcome. I'm so happy to see you today.
Oh, Jenn, thank you so much for having me back. And I love everything that you said, because it's so true. You know, what's really interesting to me is when you Google, because, you know, Dr. Google knows everything. When you Google how many toxins are women exposed to daily in their personal care products, the number hasn't changed. I think this is the same number that they said 15 years ago. The number that Google will tell you is around 168 toxins or chemicals every day women are exposed to. So I, of course, you know, the disruptor that I am,
yes,
I thought, let me figure out the new number, the real number for 2025, because that number was probably from 1980. When things were much cleaner. Like, let's face it, like you said, we're not on our grandmother's earth. We're not on our mother's earth. When we were young, the products were probably much cleaner. They were using better ingredients and maybe not as many toxins or synthetic chemicals. But today, that's a different story. It's a different world. So when I redid the math, they said women use between 12 and 15 products a day. Not anymore. Women use somewhere between 20 and 25. So you have to include all of your makeup. And makeup is one of the most toxic things that we as women use, which is one of the reasons we are more toxic than men. Sorry, ladies.
Yeah, it's true. Well, and I think it's not only the makeup, right? It's we use more products than men at every step along the way, unless you are really married to a metrosexual who is into all that stuff. But even then, they use exponentially less than we do.
Correct.
Exponentially. They really are simple folk, aren't they?
Yes. And I try to simplify. And actually, what you don't need as much as what the beauty industry wants you to believe you need, especially when you're using the right products. But yes, it includes hair products. It includes, shower stuff, your gels, your moisturizers, all the face products, deodorant, dental products. So, and even your dental floss. Dental floss could be toxic too. Most of the dental flosses on the market have the forever chemicals in them.
Yeah.
So mouthwash.
PFAS.
Yeah. All of that stuff.
Yeah.
So by the time you add up the number of products women use, it's closer to 20. So let's just do easy math, 20 products. Most products can have between 20 and 40 chemicals. If the word fragrance is listed as an ingredient, that alone could have 20 chemicals in it. And that's not disclosed. If water is listed as an ingredient, it's most likely tap water. So if it doesn't say it's purified, it's tap water. And there's a slew of chemicals and toxins and drug waste, including birth control pills and antidepressants in our water. So you have to add, the number adds up for that too. So if we just say that, women are using around 20 products a day and they each have maybe 30 chemicals in them, our number is closer to 600.
That's big math. That's big Barbie math.
Yeah. And then we wonder why women are, or in general, everyone's sick, even kids. Why is everybody getting sicker and sicker? Why are all the cancers on the rise? Why isn't things decrease? Why are women, having infertility issues that lead to early menopause? Because those same hormone disruptors that you were applying to your skin in your 20s and 30s when you're trying to get pregnant are now causing menopausal symptoms and hormone imbalances. So why are we treating all of those diseases, dis-ease, without looking at a root cause of what are we putting on our skin every single day? So that's where my passion comes in.
Yeah. I want to back way up and talk about how you got into this doing it better and doing it cleaner space. Like, take us back to that story with your child and what you went through.
Yeah. I never in my wildest dreams expected to be sitting in the seat that I'm sitting today, having formulated and manufactured products, skincare, clean. I never expected it. I was a nurse. I've been a nurse since I was 22 years old. I'm now 56. And
you look good, girl.
Thank you. It's my skincare. So,
I heard something I read something really interesting this morning that, all these skincare products, they're being marketed to the 20-somethings. And these children do not need all these skincare products. Simplify. Like you don't need it. It's astounding to me.
Including Botox and fillers, which is ridiculous. First of all, nobody should be really getting the Botox. Botox and fillers are just not good. We could go down that if you want. But at that age, it's literally detrimental to your health. You don't need it. Yeah.
Crazy.
And they're calling it preventative.
And they're doing it.
Yeah.
They're doing it. And I mean, I know that they're trying to literally keep up with the Kardashians. Like that's really the Kardashians have set this whole crazy, insane beauty standard where there are so many people that look exactly like them now.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, it's just like they have kind of created this paradigm where you make your lips look a certain way and your cheeks look a certain way, and then everyone starts to look the same. It is crazy. Like you can pick it out of a lineup in a second. Yeah. Oh, that's a filled face. Mm-hmm. That's not what God does.
No. And part of the problem with the Botox and even fillers is that it impairs your ability to communicate, especially, the nonverbal communication. And when we talk about
you
work
can't emote
anymore. No, and nobody can connect. There's no connection. And when you think about your children, like especially if you have young children, they rely on your body language and your nonverbal communication. And so by freezing your face or making it distorted to some level, that really impacts other people and the way that they can relate with you or not connect with you. So it's really sad. It's really a sad thing. But I like to say, the opposite of the Kardashians is Pamela Anderson. I love what she's doing. She's doing the no makeup, very natural, the whole opposite end of the spectrum. Yeah. And so I love seeing what she's doing.
Yeah, I'm landing somewhere in the middle, so you know.
And I agree. Like
I'm not making my lips look like a vagina. And I'm also not ready to be au naturel, which is, I'm very open and honest about the fact that like I get my hair colored every 3 weeks because I'm not ready to have gray hair. And I do have gray hair and I have a lot of it. Like my roots are full on silver. I just had my hair colored last Friday. So, I have fresh color. But I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Well, there's some things, and what I usually tell women is pick your poison.
That's
because
what I do.
If you are healthy in every other aspect, like if you're eating healthy, you're, doing your meditation or mindset type of work, and you've limited your toxic exposure to environmental stuff, including body products or personal care products, no one's perfect, and I don't expect anyone to be perfect. And especially the hair industry is extremely difficult to find truly clean products that work. So there's always going to be some level of chemical exposure to hair products and even to some degree makeup. So I always say, pick
While
your
we're
poison.
on that topic, though, is Madison Reed as good as you can do, or is that baloney?
Wait, what's Madison Reed?
It's that organic hair color place that I think that's what it is, or is that the dating site? I always get confused.
Madison
I don't use either one, by the way, so I'm not endorsing, but I oh, goodness.
This conversation either just went north or south. We're not quite sure.
Yeah. Let's come back to hair color. I want to hear about your daughter.
So the reason I really got into this is, so I had just graduated from anesthesia school, starting a brand new career as a nurse anesthetist, which I was really excited about. Loved being a nurse anesthetist. And I graduated in 2007. I was 39 years old. My husband and I, engaged at the time, decided that we would fly to Fiji and get married in Fiji because, being 39, we knew that we were going to try and start a family right away. And we wanted to get to Fiji before, we had kids. So we thought, we're just going to go there, get married. So we did. And believe it or not, because I really suffered with infertility all through my life, from my teens through, I would literally only have like 2 periods a year or 3 periods a year.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I was actually very happy about that. I was okay with it because I was like,
yeah, because you didn't know what it meant.
Yes. So, but I assumed I was going to have a hard time getting pregnant. In fact, my sisters, I have 4 sisters, and most of them have had to go on, Clomid or something like that. So I just assumed I'm going to have a hard time getting pregnant, my history. But lo and behold, on our honeymoon, we got pregnant. And I was super excited and shocked, like, wow, I can't believe I'm 39. This isn't supposed to happen this easy.
Well,
so we
God
got
is
pregnant.
great.
Yeah. So we got pregnant, got back to the U.S., started working as a nurse anesthetist. And at week 7, I miscarried. And it was that miscarriage that literally sparked something in me. And I actually held that little one in my hand and made a promise that I don't know what your message or mission was to be here for just this short time and to show me, yourself. But I promise you, I'm going to try and figure it out. And if I can figure it out, I promise you, I will share it with the world, your message. And not, and it actually took me 2 years to really remember that promise that I made and link it back. But I believe it or not, got pregnant again with my daughter, who is now 16. Really quickly. It was like 2 months. I went to the GYN. She said, wait 1 or 2 cycles. And I was like, whatever. I'm not a compliant patient. So no, I didn't.
Also, there's no science there.
Yeah. Well, right. I was like, why would I wait?
I mean, like,
I'm 40, 39. Yeah.
It's like they feel like they have to say something and there's no science there.
Really? That's interesting. Because you hear that all the time.
I know.
Just wait 1 or 2 cycles. So I didn't, and I got pregnant with my daughter, and I was at 7 weeks, and we had started investigating everything. Like, we were zoned in on everything we were doing. And like, we changed our cleaning supplies. We changed our laundry detergent.
But how did you even know to do that? I mean, this was a while ago.
Yeah, this was in 2007.
This was 16 years ago.
Something inside. Well,
no one was talking. I certainly didn't hear anyone talking about it then.
No, nobody was talking about this. And so but my husband and I, we were very health conscious, the 2 of us. So we kind of fed off of each other. So he was like, let's get air purifiers. And then we just started noticing that, like, everything, detergent and, everything that we were using in the house was toxic.
Wait, where did you guys live?
Ohio.
Yeah. I don't get it.
None of it makes sense. It was a calling, literally a calling.
I mean, if you told me California, maybe I would understand. Denver, I don't know, somewhere crunchier.
Yeah.
Ohio is like not the home of the clean product.
No, you wouldn't think. So we made a lot of changes, but I never, ever thought about beauty products until I was at week 7 with our daughter. And I was now at this point used to looking at labels or looking at things and reading ingredients and just, So at week 7, I'm in tune. This is the moment where I lost the other one. Is this one going to go past week 7? And so I was getting ready for work and I glanced at my moisturizer and I just assumed it was safe or healthy or clean. But I read the ingredients for the first time and was blown away at the number of chemicals, which I instinctively knew would affect not just me, but my baby. So I literally threw it in the garbage and started throwing everything away and thought, if I can't make it. So here I am, a nurse anesthetist. This is the funniest part for me is like, I'm very like vain. I wouldn't even leave the house without makeup to go like get my mail or go to the grocery store because I had a face full of acne at this point. I had been on Accutane twice. I had very oily skin.
Because you weren't shedding, right? Like
right.
That's one of the major ways that we get rid of our toxins. Mm-hmm. So ladies, if you are of the age where you should be menstruating and you're not menstruating, this is not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah.
That is how we get rid of our toxins every month. It's a major way that we get rid of our toxins.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are shedding every month.
Yeah. And I didn't know. And so, so I threw away almost everything and I started making my own products because as a nurse anesthetist, I was like, this is literally the best field if you want to cover your face up for work because, in the OR, you can wear the hats all the way down and you wear your mask all the way up and people just see your eyes for the most part. So I was like, okay, so I'm just going to go makeup free and I'm just going to I started using olive oil. It was the only thing I could think to put on my skin. And lo and behold, my skin started looking amazing for the first time ever in my life. And so I started mixing oils and essential oils and it was like a download gift from God because I didn't know how to do this at all. This is not, I didn't go to school for this. In the medical field, we don't get taught anything about food or beauty products. So I had no education on this, yet I was formulating products that were literally healing my body and healing my skin. And so our daughter was born and I had started giving products to friends and family. And everyone was just amazed at the results they were getting. And, for the baby, for Mia, everybody was shocked that if she got a little rash, you just put the little ointment on that I made and it would be gone. And so the funniest thing is my husband started his first business when he was 13 years old. So I always say I made the biggest mistake of my life by sitting there. I was breastfeeding my daughter. And I said to him, he was walking away from me. And I said, everybody loves everything I'm making. I should just sell it. And I'm just thinking like a little shop on Etsy, no big deal. This can just be a little side hustle. He does a 180 and says, okay, figure out what you want to be called. I'll get someone to do your logo and I'll go start a website right now. And I was like, oh,
give a dog a bone.
I was like, okay. So I took about...
I'm a quick start like that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. So I just started doing everything. And back then there was no Shopify. So our first website, my husband had to hard code, HTML code, everything because I didn't know how to do that. So I was like waiting for him. He has his job. I have my full-time job that I'm working, in anesthesia. So I did this in the evening and then launched my first company, which was actually called Olive's Organic Botanicals. It was really doing very well. I was in some magazines. I was actually shocked at how well it was doing because there was really no internet at that point.
It was your side hustle.
Yeah, it was a total side hustle.
It was your word of mouth side hustle.
And then I had this bright idea when the paleo movement came out and my husband had a CrossFit gym and brought home the paleo diet. And I got on like the Paleo Hacks website was brand new. And somebody said, what do you use for paleo skincare? And the person replied, I use coconut oil. And I thought, I have a whole company for you people because you're my people. That's me. I'm paleo. So I literally rebranded. Now I have 3 babies. I have identical twin boys. My daughter's 2. And I rebranded the company as Primal Life Paleo Skincare to niche down and be able to be the brand for the paleo market. So I actually am the original paleo skincare company. Now, if you Google that, like before, I owned every page on Google if someone was looking for paleo skincare. Now, there's a million people saying they're paleo skincare, and they're really not by my standards. So, yeah, that's
you
the
set
story.
a very high bar.
Oh, at the top. Yeah. You know, I'm
which is amazing, because in doing that, I know that I trust everything that you put out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Because most, I call it brand washing. Most brands on the market are using, so they do a mix and they'll tell you they're clean and they use natural ingredients. But when you read the label, I mean, if you know how to read a label the way I know how to read a label, and this is one of the things I teach women how to do, it's really easy, really simple. But part of the problem is when they list their ingredients, and sometimes they'll put sourced from, so maybe coconut oil or sourced from some sort of plant. The problem remains that it is still highly processed. It's still like going to McDonald's to get your skincare and shoving, like putting that on your skin. Yeah. Highly processed. And in the processing, so many times there's chemicals, or they're contaminated with heavy metals or other types of things that aren't apparent and doesn't have to be disclosed. You know, as the consumer, I read a research article just recently about hormone disruptors in skincare. And the recommendation from the research article was that the consumer is responsible for educating themselves so they know how to understand if a product has chemicals or hormone disruptors in it. And that is the take on the beauty industry, is basically we can do whatever we want. It is really your responsibility to educate yourself.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's terrible. So I took it upon myself to literally simplify the beauty industry, simplify what you need. And ultimately, it works better than the toxic stuff anyway, because that toxic stuff is actually causing premature aging of the skin, but it's also causing hormone imbalance, and it causes inflammation, which we all know leads to any kind of disease, including cancer, and neurotoxicity with all of the heavy metals and things that cross through a leaky brain, especially a leaky brain and, you know, the leaky gut type of situation. So,
yeah. I also want to mention that you probably know the answer to this, but of the chemicals that are in our products and allowed to be in our products, how many of them are tested?
Honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
I think it's less than 1,000.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think it's less than 1,000. And when they're tested alone. There is no synergistic testing going at all. So you can use any of these allowed items in any combination. And even if like that single item is in what we call safe, which is total bullshit anyway. I mean, what we call safe is not safe. When you put them together and they have a synergistic effect.
And sometimes they create a new chemical.
Yes, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not being measured and not being taken into account at all.
At all. Well, take it one step further, like parabens. There's numerous types of parabens. So you've got just methylparaben, but there's also different parabens that can be in a product. So, you know, the standard is only a certain amount is allowed to be in products to be deemed safe by, you know, the FDA. But they don't tell you you can't use other parabens. So you can have 3 or 4 different parabens all maxed out at that allowable amount in one single product. So that's a huge problem, because it impacts your hormones and it impacts the way you feel, the way you look, not to mention the packaging. You know, I can't believe the amount of plastic. Like, it's starting to come out in social media. I see a lot of posts about the black food packaging, plastic packaging, and the microplastics.
If you haven't heard about that yet, black plastics are made from recycled computers and cell phones and things that you would not want to put in your body and ingest. And yet, when you have takeout food in black containers, then if it's hot food in these black containers, the food is then taking up this whatever you want to call it, mixture, right?
Chemicals, yeah.
And then you're ingesting it.
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't eat a cell phone or a computer, you probably should not be eating food out of packaging that is made from that.
I know. And it's so crazy that, it's the amount of plastic that we use. And so think about the beauty industry. Almost everything is in plastic. Very few brands use anything other than plastic. And the same thing happens in food, except that most products, with food, you typically within a couple of days you've eaten it or you've eaten it right away. So the exposure time is less, but you're still, because it's hot, you're absorbing the food. So yes, definitely that's the worst case scenario. But in skincare, it can have a shelf life of 2 years. Mm-hmm. So you've got this product, and the same thing goes with skincare and plastic. What happens with plastic is that when it gets hot, I don't know if it contracts or expands. It probably expands. And then when it gets cold, it contracts. And so the same thing happens with temperature changes in skincare. In the manufacturing plant, it might be one temperature. They make a product, they ship it, a lot, believe it or not, a lot of the products are made overseas. So then it gets either boat or flown over. So you've got those temperature changes, pressure changes. Then it can probably go sit in a warehouse, a distribution warehouse for a while. And then on the shelf, then you buy it, it gets to your bathroom, and our bathroom at home gets hot, steamy, cold, hot, cold. So all of those temperature changes, that plastic will contract and expand and leach more and more. And even just over time, it's going to leach chemicals into your beauty products. So I always, say, if you want to look like Barbie, you're doing a great job using plastic products, because plastic is going to make you look and feel plastic. And that's literally it.
My closet looks like Barbie.
Because it's all pink. I love it.
I'm actually going to do a post about that, I think.
You need to do a post.
So funny.
I love your color. That's the perfect color for you.
Thank you. Thank you. People say all the time that redheads can't wear pink. I am defying that every day.
I love it. No, redhead's a great color for most redheads. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is obviously an issue, and it's an issue for everyone, for every single woman. But there's an even deeper connection, because many of these things that we're talking about now are connected to breast cancer. So can you start to talk about that and why we need to be even more concerned as women because of the link to breast cancer?
Yeah. Well, part of the problem is that, and you know this probably better than me, lymphatic flow and blood flow is pretty stagnant in the breast tissue. There's not much. So when you don't have blood flow in, you don't have blood flow out. And that means that if there's toxins, they're going to literally sit there. So the tissue can become more toxic, at an area where toxins can just get absorbed into the tissue, the fat tissue, and wreak havoc. Yeah. Sit there. So that's probably one of the main reasons. And, that's why deodorant has been a big, in the news a lot, about making sure you're not using aluminum and other, chemicals in deodorant, is because your lymphatics under your armpit can absorb those toxins, but lymphatic drainage is not there's no pump. So you have to, movement will move the fluid and empty your trash. So I always tell my clients to make sure you massage your deodorant, use a good deodorant. I just actually came out with a really good deodorant recipe. that actually detoxes your tissues. Easy to make. You can whip it up in 5 minutes. It's a great recipe. But it has clay in it. So it's going to pull toxins out of your tissue so that they don't get into your bloodstream or your lymphatics. And then ultimately don't drain down into your breast tissue to just get there. So one of the other things, I know we've talked about this before, is I used to, and I'm probably going to make it again, make a balm that is specific for breast tissue. And, not only will the ingredients be really good for breast tissue, but the idea is when you shower or in the morning, put this on and it's massaging the tissue, which is going to increase blood flow and increase that detoxification, which will ultimately increase your health of your breast tissue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just want to expand on what's going on there because it's only made way worse by modern life and modern living. So the breast is not an essential organ outside of when we are breastfeeding, right? Which arguably is a very limited time in the course of our life, right? When we are in a stressed state, when we are in a cortisol dominant state, our physiology shifts, and it shifts so that our blood flow goes to the essential organs, and those organs that are essential for us running away, right? That is, we only know two states. We know safety and we know danger. And when we have the danger signal, our blood flow is shunted away from the thinking part of our brain towards the monkey part of our brain, the instinctual part of our brain. And it's shifted to the heart because we need the heart to pump harder so that we can move oxygenated blood throughout our body. Our respiratory rate increases. We start to breathe deeper, and the blood gets shunted to the muscles so that we can run away. But it's taken away from non-essential organs. You don't need your breasts to run away, right? So the blood flow during this stressed state, this cortisol dominant state, is shunted away from the breasts, which would be fine if we were in a cortisol dominant state for the amount of time that we're supposed to be in it, which is less than 5% a day. But that's not where we are. Most of us are in that cortisol dominant state for 50% of our day because we have deadlines and because we have difficult relationships and worries and struggles, and social media has become a huge, huge stressor to people because it's ever present. It's always there. If you're always scrolling, then you're always in this stressed state. And so when we already decrease blood flow to something that didn't have great blood flow to begin with, this is where that toxic buildup happens. And in the breast, we have 4 tissues in the breast. We have glandular tissue, that's the milk producing tissue. We have fat, we have connective tissue, and that's all held together in a skin envelope. So when you think about that glandular tissue, that the neighbor is fat, fat is where we store our toxins because toxins are fat soluble, right? So if your neighbor is a hoarder and is never getting rid of their trash, eventually it's going to start to spill over onto your lawn. That's what's happening, right? And when that spillover happens, when those toxic chemicals start to spill over into the glandular tissue, cellular damage happens. And in a vacuum, that probably wouldn't matter because we have built-in mechanisms that are supposed to recognize these issues in their infancy and not allow them to achieve critical mass. Except our immune systems are tanked because we're dealing with all of these things. And if you are in a chronic state of stress, all your body knows, all your brain knows is that you have a tiger on your tail, right? If you have a tiger on your tail, you don't need to fight off the common cold, right? If you're going to get eaten by a tiger in 15 seconds, what do you need to worry about the common cold for? So your immune system gets turned off. So this is actually the recipe for cancer, for breast cancer anyway. And, I talk about this all the time because that fat in the breast is there for purpose. And we do store our toxins in fat cells for a reason, to take them out of our circulation and to prevent them from hurting us. But we have to both manage the stress and increase our circulation. So the things that I talk to people about are things like rebounding. Massage is an amazing one. So that's why your balm, I'm sure the products are great, but it's the products in combination with massage and getting that lymph moving and getting that blood flowing that really has the greater impact, because that is getting rid of the toxins. It's allowing them to flow out of the body.
I love that. That was perfect. Yes, exactly. That was a good, yeah.
Hello, my beautiful listeners. I'm taking a quick break here to share something truly transformative screening tool that I have only recently learned about, control of your breast health journey, then you need to get your hands on a copy of my book, this groundbreaking at-home breast cancer screening test. I wrote this book to make a massive impact in the world of breast cancer. So empowering women everywhere to make informed choices and educated decisions. It's a non-invasive, so much more power and control over your health and all breasts. Dense and breast implants. This is a roadmap to harnessing that makes power. It clear for everyone. Inside, you'll uncover the truth about conventional treatments. Is backed by over a decade of overestimated benefits, thousands of samples, underestimated, underexplained, and underdisclosed. Here's how it long-term side effects. You collect a tear sample at home, and then Aria you'll discover the true drivers of health and how the choices you make at breast cancer every day can lead you to get a consultation with a breast health specialist to review your results of your life. Now, Aria isn't replacing breast cancer. I am using it alongside. Whether you're looking to prevent a diagnosis, avoid recurrence, or simply live your healthiest life, knowledge is power, and Aria is putting Join me on this journey to empowerment, and it's time to take control of your breast health. And Aria is Guide to Breast Cancer today. Go to aria.care, AURIA.care, and use my code Dr. Jenn 20 in capitals, DRJENN 20 to get 20%. Hello, my beautiful listeners. I'm taking a quick break here to share something truly transformative with you today. If you're ready to take control of your breast health journey, then you need to get your hands on a copy of my book, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer. I wrote this book to make a massive impact in the world of breast cancer, empowering women everywhere to make informed choices and educated decisions. You have so much more power and control over your health than you might think. And this book, this is a roadmap to harnessing that power. Inside, you'll uncover the truth about conventional treatments. They're often overestimated benefits and underestimated, underexplained, and underdisclosed long-term side effects. But more importantly, you'll discover the true drivers of health and how the choices you make at home every day can lead you to the best health, the breast health of your life, even after a breast cancer diagnosis. Whether you're looking to prevent a diagnosis, avoid recurrence, or simply live your healthiest life, this book is for you. Join me on this journey to empowerment and health. Grab your copy of The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer today, and let's revolutionize the way that we approach breast health together.
But, people ask all the time about deodorant. And so deodorant, I think, is a big one. What to put on your face. And I definitely want to talk about makeup, because these are things that are part of daily life. And they're things that people are not going to abandon, right? So I know that you have an amazing course called the Holistic Health and Beauty Program. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about that course, But I want to give people some really practical things that they can start to do tomorrow to clean up their act so they're not exposed to it as much, and what they are using in, on, and around them is safe and healthy for them.
Yeah. First off, you're not stuck with anything. That's the first message. So whether, it's bad skin or skin issues or health issues, if you make changes and detox and reduce your intake of toxins, I like to say control what you can control. That's where I come in. I help you control those 600 things and maybe mitigate that down to single digits, hopefully, or, somewhere around there. Then your body can actually heal and recover. But if you don't make any changes, you're on that path. You're always going to be on that path. Nothing is going to change. You're only going to get worse, because as your body gets more and more congested and your liver can't keep up, there's no place for it to go except into your tissues. And then usually it's the fat tissue first. And then you've got when that starts becoming saturated, then it leaches into the organ tissue and the glands. And so by decreasing what you're putting on your body, I can explain this in a really simple way of how this detoxes your body. So I always go back to my anesthesia days. And when I put someone to sleep for a surgery, we pretty much overdose you on the sleepy stuff. So we can overcome your nervous system and you go to sleep. So we have to keep the gas on at a certain level, because as your what's in your fat tissue equilibrates with what's in your blood, and what's in your blood means what's in your brain, and your brain is what keeps you asleep. So we know that if we stop giving you the sleepy stuff, the gas, eventually you're going to wake up because your body's getting rid of it. But what we need to do is equilibrate what's in your fat tissue with what's in your blood. And that happens over the surgery, and we keep it at a level that keeps you asleep. When it's time to wake up, so this is the same thing. You're putting toxins on your body every single day. There's an equilibrium that happens with your blood and your fat tissue. So if you increase the amount of toxins you're putting on your skin every day, your blood gets saturated. Some of it your liver can take care of, but most of it can't. So the excess will leach into your tissue, your fat tissue, your organ tissue, until there's an equilibrium established between your blood and the fat tissue, the tissue. When we shut the gas off, when the surgery's over and it's time for you to wake up, we turn the gas off. And what happens is your body, your liver, will get rid of the anesthetic gas in your blood, and the equilibrium is always established. So when it decreases in your blood, it pulls from your tissue to keep that equilibrium. And as it keeps pulling and you keep removing it, you eventually wake up because you've got less and less and less. But the reason that you're still foggy for a day or two, we say don't drive for 24 hours, is because there's still residual left in your fat tissue and your organ tissue, because you constantly have that low equilibrium. And it takes a little bit longer when there's less and less to keep pulling that out. And it just takes some time to get it all cleansed out. So the same thing happens with basically anything that you're using. When you stop putting these toxins on your body then has the ability to catch up and get rid of it, get rid of what's in your blood tissue or your blood. And then when it's detoxed out of your blood, it will start to pull, because it has to keep that equilibrium. It will start pulling from the toxins that are in your fat tissue and your organ tissue, until you get to the point. For a lot of people, when they take my program, they go through my course and they make these changes. So many women have seen a change within about 3 weeks, especially with some health issues. I had one woman, Rebecca, she's a nurse, and she had autoimmune disease. She had narcolepsy, and she had insulin resistance. And she messaged me about 3 to 4 weeks into the course. And she was like, I'm blown away. The only thing I've changed is the stuff you've recommended in my products. And she was already at half dose on her autoimmune, her narcolepsy meds, and her insulin resistance was getting better. And she was blown away. She's like, I didn't realize the impact that these things have. So very quickly, you're going to detox. You're going to start to detox, but long term, it takes about a year to fully detox and get yourself to the point where you're clean. And that's when I say, like, if you're going to use hair products, and you've got pick your poison, then, that's where your body can handle that. That's why it's okay. It's not as okay when you're overwhelmed and you're using a lot of toxic stuff, because now you're oversaturated and there's nowhere for those toxins to go. And some of the symptoms that you're over toxic is brain fog and fatigue and weight gain. And, it sounds like menopausal symptoms, but it's a lot of those hormone disruptors that we're putting on our body that just we can't get rid of because our body is overwhelmed. So, but yeah, the course, usually women start noticing a change in their skin and their body very quickly, because your skin cells and most of your cells turn over, and you regenerate new cells and new tissue. And for every system, it's a little different, but for your skin, it's about every 40 to 60 days, you're generating new cells and new tissue. So you're never stuck with where you are today. And that's probably the biggest takeaway. But if you don't make any changes, it's not going to get any better.
I do notice, though, and I think that this tracks, sometimes people get a little worse before they get better. Because like with weight loss or when you're detoxing, some of that stuff is going to come out, and you may experience some acne, and you may, as your body starts to release these stored toxins, you may feel fatigue, all of that, right?
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's pretty typical. And
yeah.
know that your skin has a 3-week cycle. So that's the turnover rate of our skin. So people may notice a couple of weeks of acne and legit noticeable skin changes before it gets better.
Right. And I usually tell people, women, I talk mostly with women, but the same thing happens when you go on a diet or you start an exercise program and you start burning fat, because fat is primarily where a lot of toxins are stored.
Yeah.
So think about it. You start burning fat and the toxins are being released from the fat that you're burning. So usually day 1 and day 2, you feel, all those, great hormones, you're feeling really good. Day 3 and day 4 come and you feel like you've been hit by a truck. And part of the problem or the reason is because you basically are, I don't want to say overdosing yourself, but you're increasing your toxic load in your bloodstream from burning the fat, which is great, but don't give up, because it's not a bad thing. But like you said, it's that pulling and getting rid of those toxins can give you those symptoms, which kind of tells you that you really needed this. If you're getting these types of symptoms, that was stored in your body. It was never going to not give you symptoms. The symptoms just you've been living with and dealing with it, and somehow either biohacking your way through it or, taking stuff that you don't really need to take if you didn't have those symptoms. So by getting, not putting those products or ingredients on your body, you will facilitate a detox, which, like Jenn said, could increase symptoms. Even for 2-3 weeks, you can get, like you said, like those symptoms that you just feel like, oh my gosh, this is worse. That's actually a good sign that you're getting rid of that.
And exactly. I think that people need to be aware of the fact that don't give up because you feel a little worse in the beginning. That's actually a good thing. It means that your body is detoxing. So if you have fatigue, if you're noticing, some skin acne or something like that, don't give up, right? Just push through, because there's better things on the other side for sure.
Yeah. And one of the
Well,
things to really know too is a lot of the ingredients in skincare products that you're going to be detoxing out that were stored in your fat tissue, they do cause like congested skin and acne, breakouts, all of that, including, the brain fog and all that kind of stuff. So that's the main reason, is because you're just detoxing those out. And everybody's detox time is different, and how the symptoms you might get might be different from someone else. Some women don't get many symptoms at all. They kind of sail through that. But, and you'll see it on your skin too. It's amazing. I do a bunch of webinars and I have some before and after pictures, and everybody can see a difference in the after picture. The skin looks better, but I always like to point out the before picture that, look at this. You can tell she's not well. Like, it's toxins that make you look like that. But look at the detoxification and how much brighter her skin looks, and the color and the texture. It's not, the fine lines and some of the discolorations are fading. So you can look at a before picture and see that that's a lot of toxicity that's just built up.
yeah, absolutely. I think one of the hardest things is knowing what to look for. So can you talk about some of the ingredients that like set off the alarm bells for you?
Honestly, I simplify it in my course. So you don't really need to memorize any ingredients at all. You don't have to memorize chemicals. So if you want the big stuff, it's the parabens, phthalates, and fragrance. Those are the bad words. But then you have to memorize what all of those might be, and what to look for. So what I've done is I made it really, really simple and teach you more about one ingredient. If you omit one ingredient from your skincare, you will omit, almost guaranteed, almost everything else, because that one ingredient is a snowball. And when you put that one ingredient in a product, you have to put other things in. And it's a signal. Do you know what that one ingredient is?
No.
You don't? Do you want to know?
Yes, of course.
So that one ingredient is water.
Oh, wow.
Water. I say dehydrate your skincare, not your skin. Water's the worst ingredient. I always get asked, what's the worst ingredient in skincare? Everybody's shocked when I say water. But really, it's true.
I'm shocked.
If you dehydrate your skincare, remove the water from the skincare byproducts that are truly, now you have to be careful. This is the greenwashing. This is where I come in. This is
like a Kevin from Home Alone moment.
Right? Like, oh my God. Yeah. But there's companies out there now, because waterless skincare is become a thing, but companies are using the word waterless to not mean water-free, which is really the definition of waterless.
Oh my
but they're
God.
calling
Why does it
water.
have to be so confusing?
I help you with all that. I can make it all super easy.
It's so manipulative and mean.
They're saying waterless means, for some of these companies, they're saying waterless means we use less water. And as a consumer, you're supposed to know this. This is why education is the key. If you aren't up on this stuff,
it's so hard.
It's disturbing.
And they rely on the fact of most people don't understand what all this ambiguity is, right? It's the same thing with the food industry. Like, my son all the time brings home things that he thinks are healthy because they make it so confusing that you just don't know what any of this means.
And part of the other problem is, so if you're using a product that has water, I call it, if it's water, it's a chemical-based product. That's just, there's no way around it. When there's water, they have to have preservatives, heavy-duty preservatives. They have to have emulsifiers.
So it doesn't mold and separate. And
fillers, like all sorts of things have to be put in a product that has water. So by the time you get to the active ingredients, there's like nothing. They're tiny. They're at the end of the ingredient list. The problem is, as well, another thing to look out for is oils. The processing of oils, it can either be this amazing nutrient-rich oil, or it can be an oil that has been so highly processed, there's nothing left. Like, there's no good nutrients in there. So it's basically a dead ingredient. So I do teach about like living versus dead, or like raising the vibration. It's just like the plastic clothes. Like people are talking now about plastic clothes and how it brings down the vibration of the body because plastic just lowers your vibration. Same thing with skincare. If you're using dead ingredients, you're lowering your vibration. But oils, good oils, will increase the vibration of your skin and your body and improve your overall health. And so all of this is what I teach. I make it so easy. Women are blown away at how simple it is. I teach you so that within 3 seconds, whether it's, you're at Whole Foods or you're shopping online, you know if a product is worth your time, your money, your health, and your beauty. 3 seconds.
Okay, because I want to make sure that like we don't all have to be making our own deodorant and making our own skincare because, I'm going to be honest. If that is the case, there's no way someone like me would do that. Like, I don't have the time. I don't have the interest. I'm not, I'm not there, right? It's enough for me to like get through my day.
And that's okay.
If I have to like make all my own products on top of it,
you don't have to.
I would have nothing.
Products. No, there are good brands out there. So all of that is in my course. I teach you what to look for, and also when you enroll in my course, you get a month for free in my community. And inside my community, you can stay as long in the community as you want. You can leave whenever you want. But I always encourage people at least do it in the month because you can ask me questions. So if you've got a product, I get product questions all the time. I will literally go and do a video review most of the time and explain why this product is a plus, a thumbs up, or a thumbs down. I'm not wishy-washy. I'm not like, okay, I give this one a C. I'm always an A or an F. Like for me, there's no middle of the road.
I love a decisive woman.
Yeah. So I look at it like I use my kids as my litmus test. And I always think, would I let my kids use this product? If it's a hell yes, then yes. If it's a no, then I won't tell you to put it on your body either. No, it's a hell no for me because there's better options. And so many women feel like, okay, first off, let me tell you, you don't have to make all your own products. You don't have to make any products if you don't want to.
Oh,
however, so many women that join my program realize, oh my God, this is easier than I thought, and like doing it because then you control the ingredients and everything. I make it super easy. So if you do want to make your own deodorant or your own face, I actually have a serum that's called a no tox face serum. The next time I make it, I'll send you some. But it's an herb that mimics Botox. So instead of paralyzing the muscle, it actually relaxes the muscle to help smooth out the wrinkles. And then I use ingredients that increase collagen, increase elastin, all the good stuff. But you don't have to make your own products. But when I do give you a recipe, everything's hyperlinked, including the containers that I recommend. So all you have to do is click add to cart. And then, I do videos. A lot of them have videos that will actually show you how to make it. Most of the products that I teach how to make, you can whip up a batch that can last you a year or 2 years in about 10 minutes. So there's not a lot of time. But
maybe I'll try.
Yeah, it's not hard. The deodorant's so much fun. The deodorant, like I'm in love with the deodorant. I'll send you a deodorant too. It's easier than you think, but you don't have to do that because there are brands that are very good. And I only recommend the best. And the nice thing about it, when you make the switch to truly clean beauty products, because a lot of women feel like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so expensive. I don't have the money. I don't, all of that.
It's an excellent point. I'm so glad you brought it up.
Because
most people believe that they can't use quality products because they can't afford to use quality products.
Right.
So dispel that rumor for us.
I've had many women that have gone through my course and they're not making their products. Some of them will make their products, but some aren't. That have told me I used to spend between $2,500 and $3,000 a year on my skincare, and I think I'm probably going to spend less than $1,000.
Oh, yeah,
and
I don't spend anything like that.
They're getting better products. The main thing is when you switch to clean beauty, less is more. And because there's no water. Now, when you use water in any product, you need 3 to 4 times the amount, and you're going to dehydrate the skin, because water actually dehydrates the skin. Not only is tap water loaded with chemicals and toxins, but it's going to actually pull moisture out of your skin, and you're going to end up with dry skin. So then you feel like you need more.
Think about when you wash your face, if you don't put anything on afterwards, your face feels so dry. That's what's happening.
Yeah, that's what. And over time, it disrupts your acid mantle layer, which is your natural sebum, which grows your good microbiome. And your skin microbiome is important, and keeping your skin not just healthy looking, but also it keeps the moisture in your skin. So ultimately what happens when you make the switch to truly clean products that have a lot of nutrients in them, you need less products and you use a lot less. So you might spend $70 on a face serum, which, by the way, a lot of face serums are about equivalent to that, whether they're healthy or not. But that serum that doesn't have water in it will last you 2 to 3 times as long. So even if you're spending an extra $20 or $30 on it, it's going to last you probably 2 to 3 months as opposed to 1 month.
Yeah.
So that's a huge point. And then on top of that, what if you no longer need all the medication? What if your hormones balance out and you don't need to take supplemental type of things for the health issues that we don't realize that
because
the chemicals...
the hormone disruption is very real. So for people that think that that is urban legend, I assure you it is not. So what happens is that all of these compounds that we put into this category, we call them xenoestrogens. They resemble estrogen and sit on the estrogen receptor, but they don't do what estrogen does. So they end up confusing all of the signaling in the body, because we have estrogen receptors everywhere from our head to our toes, and everywhere in between. We have estrogen receptors that perform very, very meaningful and important functions. So that estrogen, as far as I'm concerned, I'm using that term to talk about all of the estrogens, but this is the hormone of life. And it's when our ovaries stop making estrogen that we really start to shut down. So if we are disrupting that process and we're not able to use our estrogen because our estrogen receptors are being occupied by these toxic mimicking compounds, then this is where all the dysfunction comes from. And they're not going to leave us unless we start to detoxify, unless we start to get rid of them.
Yeah. I want to tell you my quick story about this, because it's amazing. Like, it always blows my mind how much we're impacted by what we're putting on our skin. So I suffered, like I said, with irregular periods, infertility type of issues my entire life. And then when it came to menopause, so I ditched the toxins when I was 40. And when I turned 50, I went through menopause. So I had detoxed myself of all those hormone disruptors for 10 years. So literally, I eat clean, I eat healthy. When I went through menopause at the age of 50, I had no idea I was going through menopause. I didn't have one single symptom. I didn't have any hot flashes, no night sweats, brain fog, no problems with weight, weight gain or anything, bloating, anything like that. And I believe it's a lot has to do with the fact that I'm, not impairing my body's ability to go through a change by confusing it with all those hormone disruptors. So I really feel like a lot of women wouldn't have as many problems or wouldn't suffer as much.
Maybe. But I do want to be clear that even if you're not suffering through menopause, those degenerative changes to your brain, to your heart, to your blood vessels, to your bladder, to your vagina, to your bones, they're all happening. They're all happening because these tissues are tissues. Everything needs estrogen, which is why, the focus of my practice has gone from the acute care of the breast cancer patient to the care of someone who has completed treatment and wants to get their life back in a meaningful way. Because we have 4 million women in this country alone living with a breast cancer diagnosis who have been treated for breast cancer, have been thrust into menopause. And unlike the rest of the population, they do not have access to hormone replacement until now.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm focused on, is giving these women their life back. And oftentimes that means putting them on hormone replacement, but doing it while making sure that we're taking care of all the things that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Because we have to give them what they need in the right environment.
Right.
And unless we are pulling out the toxins and addressing the reason why they got cancer in the first place, I'm not doing them any favors, right? There's no magic here. And their hormones are not the solution to everyone's problem, but they are a way to optimize health when you've done all the other work.
Right.
And that's why this is so important.
Yeah, totally.
I just want people to be able to walk away. Oh, we're going to put the link to your course in the show notes for today. And I think, is it a 5-week course, did you say?
So yeah, there's 5 modules. And so you get a module a week, but there's no time limit. Like, you have access to the course. You can take your time and go through it. You know, if it takes you 10 weeks or 12 weeks or longer, that's, you know, and you always have access to it. You get any updates, and then you get a month for free in the membership. And make sure that you click through the link that Dr. Jenn has given you, because you're going to get it at half price. You're going to get it at
amazing.
Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
And then quickly, I'm so afraid of asking this question, but can you give us some examples of clean deodorant? I know that you have an amazing recipe that I hope you'll share, but clean deodorant, clean skincare, clean makeup. And is there anything that we can do about our hair that's like better? Let's call
actually,
it better.
There are some good brands of hair products that actually, and they have great products. Hair color is a little hard, but there are good hair products. And I have all of this in, like, it's part of, I have actually a resource that I use. Like, all of my resources are inside the course. So anything that I recommend, when people send me a brand and I'm like, yes, they're good. The main thing to understand, though, this is why knowledge is so powerful. And I hate to recommend brands, because there's very few brands that are 100% clean.
And universally, like, maybe they
exactly.
have a good product, but they have products that are not so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 100%. So it's really, that's why the knowledge is so important. And not just that piece of it, but brands change their formulas, or they change their packaging, and they make changes all the time. So as a consumer, if you don't know what to look for, I'm not doing you any favors.
This is especially frustrating. The enzymes that I was using every single day when I ate, I take pancreatic enzymes, and they suddenly changed their formula to include wheat.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, of all the things that you're going to add into digestive enzymes for people, and you're going to put wheat into a product when the whole world is like, wait, is wheat good for us?
Yeah. No, I know. Well, that's the same thing with skincare brands and personal care products at all. Because if I don't teach you what to look for in each of those, categories, I can give you a brand, but they can change it, and you wouldn't even be aware of it. Yeah. So it's really frustrating, but totally empowering, because I simplify it and make it so easy. And there are a couple brands that are very good. But again, there was one that I highly recommended and thought all the products were great. And somebody sent me and said, hey, there's water in this. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize that. So
what happened to Beauty Counter? Do you know?
Well, are they back open?
Are they?
I saw
the last time I checked, they were closed.
I saw some people promoting it.
So that was something that the EWG endorsed.
Well, okay, let's go here.
No?
Yeah, okay. Let's go here.
Okay, correct me.
Now you brought it up.
Yeah, I have to allow me to stand corrected.
So EWG, Think Dirty, and the Yucca apps, I don't stand behind any of them, because they do not disclose or find the hidden toxins. So the EWG will give you a rating of a 0 or a 1. And you, as a consumer, are like, oh, good. I feel good. I'm using a good product, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, I do my rating and I give it an F because there's the hidden toxins that they're not disclosing, which would be plastic. They don't care what it's packaged in. Plastic all day long. And the EWG will give it a 0 if nothing else is out of whack. Water isn't even included as an ingredient. They don't even care if that water's in there, but yet water has birth control pills. I mean, it's got drug waste, heavy metals, all the crap in there. So you don't, when you go through my program, you never need those apps ever again. You don't need them because it's all in here and it's all simplified and it's easy. So I don't stand.
You heard it here, ladies.
Part of what the EWG did with Beauty Counter and a couple other brands. So part of the problem is now the EWG, back in the day when they first opened, they were great. Brands weren't influencing the ratings. Today, in order to have your products listed on the EWG, I'm not sure how Think Dirty is. It might be the same way. The brand pays money. Now, if you're paying for a rating, do you think you're going to pay for a bad rating?
Upsetting.
So what I've noticed that they're doing is if there's an ingredient that's really not safe or good, they will give it a low rating or a good rating and have an asterisk that you have to, as a consumer, click to find the information, which they're basically saying, we've done our research with this brand. And because this brand is basically paying us, it's okay in this product, but any other product, it's not okay in.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
It's horrible. Yeah.
It's so upset.
This has been going on for probably 2 years. I did a video about 2 years ago about this. And I think it was before. I'm the one that thinks about stuff way before people like even think about it. And so it's before the time. Most people didn't care. Today I could probably do that and people will be like, what? But it's disturbing what's going on. But the beauty counter, so the beauty counter was never healthy. I've said this from day one when I knew about the beauty counter. They still used a lot of questionable ingredients. They used a lot of synthetic, and synthetic ingredients just, they don't jive with your body. Your bodies don't really know how to, I mean, it's not nutrients. It's not taking care of you.
Yeah.
And they used water, and it wasn't purified water. It was tap water. And plastic packaging for almost all their stuff. So in my opinion, the beauty counter was part of the problem, not part of the solution. Were they better than some other brands? Probably. But for me, it's either a yes or a no. Like, I'm not going to go down the middle, and I don't think anyone should. And I don't think for most people, money shouldn't be a factor, because what you're going to give up, for the health problems, as well as quality and have more to use, like it's going to last longer. There really is, there's really better alternatives, safe alternatives.
Okay. Is there any makeup brand that you like? Oh God.
So I do like, there's two that I do, but I'm fully transparent with the fact that they are still, it's the pick your poison.
I know.
But they are, they're the better, because here's the problem with makeup. There might be a few brands that are using like plant-based pigments, but most brands use minerals. And, the mineral makeup craze, I can't even remember when that came out, but mineral makeup came out and it made everybody feel like, oh my God, minerals.
Oh,
yes, so safe.
Yes,
the better option.
Amazing.
So the problem with mineral makeup is that the minerals, once they're mined, in order to be put in cosmetics, they have to be washed in chemicals. And these chemicals are not able to be washed off. So anything that has minerals, so if you see at the very end of the ingredient list, it's usually like a CI and numbers. Those are all the minerals that are in the product. And the minerals are, they're just loaded with chemicals. So the better options that still use minerals, but because there's no options out there, very good options or options that I've found, because some companies might be using plant-based, but they've got other ingredients in there that aren't good. But OG is probably my favorite. OGEE is probably my favorite.
Okay, so I have a total OG face right now.
Me too. Yeah, that's what I.
I think it's been probably 2 years that I only use OG on my face for makeup.
Yeah.
So I realize it's not perfect. Believe me, I know it's not perfect, and I still get, messages from people about like, how can I say that that's what I use when they're not perfect? If someone wants to come to me with some perfect product, I'm more than happy to try it. But for right now, this is where I've landed.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
like,
that's how I feel.
Not perfect, but pretty good.
Yeah.
And I only put makeup on days when I'm not like you. I will go to the store without makeup. I go to the gym without
do that
makeup.
now. Yeah. Before I didn't, but now
if all I'm doing is seeing patients, they see me au naturel. Like I'm not putting on makeup for patient days. But when I'm recording and when it's out there for posterity, I'm just not ready. Like I'm not ready to have gray hair, and I'm not ready to not have makeup on my face when I'm recording. Call it vapid, call it shallow, call it whatever you want to call it. I'm just not ready. I'm just not ready.
I totally get it.
And but I do remember my friend Shayna saying that we do eat like 8 to 9 pounds of lipstick a year or something like that.
Yeah.
So I have stopped using stuff on my lips except for on days like this. And otherwise, I'm just using like almond oil or like whatever pure product I have.
Yeah. I just did a post yesterday about carmine is a pigment that a lot of natural brands will say that they use.
Isn't that from a bug?
It's from a beetle in Mexico. So basically it's the shell of the female beetle. But what's crazy, so first off, if it's in there and you're vegan, that's one problem.
Also, if you're kosher.
Or kosher, yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're kosher, you can't eat bugs. And if it has that in it and you're putting it on your mouth, you're eating bugs.
You're eating. And but the processing of that. So I looked up how is it processed, and it's processed. And one of the last steps is the fact that they in the powder, breaking down the shell into powder, they use an aluminum salt. So basically you're ingesting aluminum because it's not washed off. So even ingredients like that, that sound natural or they're pretending are, natural, are just,
you have to think about how it got there, right? And the processing of it. And, it's the same thing that we talk about seed oils. Like it's not the fact that it's from a seed, and no one's saying not to eat seeds, but the process in which they have to extract those oils is very toxic. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And and then they have to bleach it off and wash it off and, get rid of the smell, deodorize it, because it's a very toxic process to go through all of this. Which is why vegetable oils are bad and that kind of thing. So, and now everyone will comment that everything is bad. And so like, F it, and I'm just doing what I want. Not the point. Everything isn't bad. The less you do, the better off you are. And so in summary from today, although there was so much and I know I'm not capturing it all, but the first thing that I want everyone to take away is if you are supposed to be bleeding, like if you're premenopausal, not postmenopausal like me, but if you're premenopausal and you're supposed to be bleeding every month, you should make sure that you're bleeding every month because it's very, very important. It's how your body is getting rid of toxins and balancing your hormones. So bleed every month, read your labels. The things that you're looking for are parabens, phthalates, fragrance, but the worst ingredient, the worst ingredient is water. You want living products and not dead products. You want to make sure that the products that you're putting on you have good oils and not bad oils. Less is more. And OG is the best makeup option that we have right now that we know of.
Yeah, right now. I might try and change that.
Okay. Well, I hope you do. And you know that I love you, and I so respect what you do. And you're putting really, really, really great things out there. Everyone enroll for her course because it will change your life. And this is information that we all need because unfortunately we are being charged with our own health. And it's unfair. It's really deceptive and manipulative. And you do have to become an expert, but you make it in a way that it's not hard. It's not hard to become an expert. And we really can take control of our own health. And that is empowering. It's tremendously empowering. So, Trina, thank you so much for being here today. Why don't you tell people where they can find you?
So my website is just my name, trinafelber.com. And Instagram, I'm most active on Instagram, is my name as well, Trina Felber, but I'm also on Facebook and TikTok and, all the things.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And we're going to get people into your holistic health and beauty program. And I thank you for being here today and can't wait for our next conversation to hear what you're up to next.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much, everything you do. And
it's my pleasure.
Yes, always looking pretty in pink.
And thank all of you for being here today and joining us and listening into this important conversation. And I hope that you like it, that you share it, that you make sure that you're following along. Also, if you know anyone who is on a breast cancer journey, make sure they get a copy of my book, The Smart Woman's Guide to Breast Cancer, and know that I will be back next week, same time, same place. It's Dr. Jenn. Bye for now.